Welcome back, everybody. You got Will and Iron Man here from the Block Runner, MetaZone, Roby, and MScribe, and today we're going to be talking about some stocks.
Stonks?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I heard this is where people make millions.
Potentially billions.
That's right.
But crypto is supposed to be about that too, right?
Not these days.
Yeah, really. It's been pretty dry in the crypto lands. But maybe for good reason. Maybe there's like a great wealth redistribution. Redistribution back to the yeah, but initially it's supposed to be like transition old money to the new money system, which is crypto.
No, the old money is has a lot of inertia.
Well, the old money's figured out like a new game plan to bring some of that money back, essentially, right to Wall Street's doorstep, where it probably should be, right? Or where we've architected it to be always, no matter what. Even though we create this like separate on-chain economy, for it to have like actual market validation and maturity at any point, it's got to recircle back to TradFi some way, somehow.
Yeah, and the architecture is quite intricate. Yeah,
we're learning that today, right? So Michael Saylor plays a big factor here. He kind of like got the balls rolling, right?
Yeah.
And we've all been watching him for the last 4 years, really.
Since 2020?
Yeah. It's like some random guy who started a tech company like a bajillion years ago during the dot-com bubble.
Yeah.
Had some success back then, and then his stock has been kind of like trailing along for the last 2 decades.
Yep.
Not really doing much. But all of a sudden, once he starts buying Bitcoin and publicly telling the world, like, this is a big fixture in our treasury, valuation just seems to only want to go up, right?
Yeah, so he started doing that in 2020, and he was kind of crazy for a long time until his stock was going crazy, doing a 10x now since then.
Well, I think it's like 30x up since then.
Is it 30?
What I heard, it's like 30 times higher than before he started buying Bitcoin. So,
well, he's outperforming all stocks basically.
Correct, and Bitcoin.
And Bitcoin, yeah.
So the result of this is, typically when somebody discovers something, successful or powerful in markets, replication ensues. It's like, I want to do that too.
Yeah,
right?
Copies, and so there's remixes.
Remixes too,
Yeah, a lot of that we're going to talk about today. So let's jump into this. Bitcoin Treasury trend is the new alt season for crypto speculators, according to Adam Beck. So yeah, all the links will be in the description. I'm not going to read through this whole thing, but essentially he's saying that if you have a lot of losses in your altcoin portfolio, it's time to transition that to buying these Bitcoin Treasury companies, and you might recover at least a good portion of it.
Why do you think that is? I mean, I guess because they're performing, at least for now, like favorably, right? It's just there's been quite the influx here recently of new companies kind of adopting this strategy, the Michael Saylor strategy.
Yeah.
In hopes that it's going to bolster their, market sentiment, right? And there's good, mathematical backing to that.
There's precedence, right? There's mathematical backing. So the more Bitcoin this treasury company holds, the higher potential net asset value, the NAV for your stock is valued at, right? So
yeah, but that tends to typically only work whenever Bitcoin's going up, right?
Yeah, correct.
Which right now we're in the midst of a Bitcoin going up season, so this works. It applies, right?
Yeah, it does.
And in conjunction of the dollar is only going down.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about that next here. So Adam Back. All right, so we're talking about treasury companies. So which companies are we talking about? Right, MicroStrategy is number one with almost 600,000. I think he's going for $1 million.
That's insane. That is a lot of Bitcoin.
Mara Holdings and a miner with a little bit less than 50,000. And then we got others.
Yeah, so this is just a leaderboard, I guess, to kind of get the optics, right? If this is a new market, kind of festering in the equities markets, it's a new market category within equities, right? You got AI sector.
Mm-hmm.
You could speculate on those companies like NVIDIA, Tesla, whatever. You got biotech.
Mm-hmm.
You could speculate. You got, war manufacturing sectors in the equities markets like
Juicy.
Palantir.
Yeah.
That's only been going up, and it will continue to go up as conflicts arise. So
Yeah.
now you've got this new sector that's native to crypto, right? It's the Bitcoin Treasury sector. It's like a whole new thing.
Yeah, not only that, all these companies, they have different strategies on how
Yeah.
to acquire Bitcoin. Like Coinbase, they have their own strategy, right? It's
Mhm.
pretty easy. It's an exchange.
And Tesla's right there above
Tesla,
it.
yeah.
I mean, obviously, this is not like a company focused on like Bitcoin treasury management. This is just like a micro position within like the monumental holdings of that company, right?
Yeah, you know who's missing on this list, dude? An obvious glaring one?
I don't know.
Apple.
Oh,
They don't even.
they, yeah. Well, this is the point. A lot of companies are still missing, but there are efforts to try and create new frameworks. And we're going to talk about a very interesting company, not project,
Yes.
company that's publicly listed. It's going to be the first time we kind of like low key recommend a stock on this channel.
First time
Never
ever.
done that before.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. It feels a little weird. I don't know. Maybe we're violating some sort of like ethics here for like
Our crypto
bros.
cards are gone, dude.
Yeah,
They're
we've revoked our.
revoked.
Yeah, man. Fuck.
Well,
We worked hard for that, dude.
yeah.
It's gonna come back. Don't worry, lads. Like it's just we feel like for the short term future, there may be more market exuberance around like the spectacle occurring here, as opposed to like altcoins,
Yeah.
on chain stuff.
And for this particular asset that we're going to be talking about, no pun intended, you'll understand why. There's a lot of good reasons why they were kind of pseudo recommending, not recommending.
Low key. Yeah,
Entertainment value only.
that's right.
Let's continue on here before we get there. So strategy.
Yeah, let's look at the all-time chart here, just so we can kind of understand.
Yeah, so this is all time, $385.
That first blip was literally the .com boom, right?
Yeah.
And literally a nothing burger. I mean, they're still a company though, like developing software, making probably millions in revenue annually. It's like
About 500 million a year.
Yeah, that's
good.
It's a solid company, but really nothing interesting, right? They're not like pioneering new.
No,
like,
no robots.
Yeah, they're not introducing new sectors
No
here. Right?
AI. No.
Yeah, but they are now. They're pioneering something, and then the price is reflecting that, right?
Yeah, so this is about 2020 when they started announcing their purchases of Bitcoin, and it's still going up.
Yeah, keep in mind we're looking at Yahoo Finance here, dude. Right? Is this Yahoo?
Yes, this is Yahoo.
Oh, geez, where are we? We're used to Deck Screener and CoinGecko and like TradingView and stuff. Like, you've never been Yahoo Finance.
Yeah, this
Here we are.
Yeah, this isn't a good.
You don't like it?
That's not user friendly.
What do you mean? This is like the OG of OG trading like views, you know?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't really. It seems kind of boomer to me too.
Yeah, here's a market cap, 107 billion.
Not bad. That's pretty good. So again, this is like a catalyst, right? MicroStrategy has gotten everybody's attention peaked. Again, now it's like, can this be a replicable new systemic, I guess, model that creates like a whole new euphoric market vector to speculate on?
So if this was a crypto token at 107 billion, it's like top 4,
top 5, right? Yeah.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah, that's a huge crypto. But in like this is like they're barely squeaking their way into the S&P 500.
Correct.
Like, which is still huge if they manage to do it, which I think they can this year.
Yeah, I think they will. Yeah.
So long as Bitcoin stays above 100K, I think.
It is.
Yeah, then they're gonna be in the S&P 500. It's like and all they're doing is buying Bitcoin, dude. It's pretty insane.
All right, moving on. Pompliano doing the same thing. Today I'm announcing $1 billion merger with Procap Financial, a Bitcoin native financial services. The company will be a publicly traded entity on NASDAQ at the conclusion of the proposed business combination between my private company, Procap, and Columbus Circle Capital Corp. So CCCM.
Yeah, which is
the ticker.
It's another thing. Go to Yahoo Finance, search that ticker. It's out there. It's actively being traded. I think around 350 million market cap. Again, these are big market caps from like a crypto market perspective, but from a equities market perspective, these are pretty like mid to low cap.
Yeah,
not that crazy.
So Pompliano is saying we hold more Bitcoin than GameStop. The race is to acquire more Bitcoin. So here's Procap and GameStop. So about the same. Coinbase and MicroStrategy again. So yeah.
Yeah, if you don't know who Pomp is, who is he, dude? He's just like some crypto bro, right?
Yeah, he's been talking about Bitcoin for a long time.
Long time.
He's got his badges, Bitcoin badges.
Yeah, he's a frequenter on like CNBC, right? If
Yeah.
anytime CNBC's like, whoa, why is Bitcoin going up? They like signal the Anthony Pompliano
Yeah.
bell.
Yeah.
And he just shows up with his suit and tie.
He was like, isn't it obvious? It's like, it's
Yeah.
Bitcoin.
It's like, I've been telling you guys since like 2016
That's right.
that this shit was going to only go up. So it has only gone up, and now he's perfectly positioned, I guess, to kind of capitalize on this new wave, right? Where he has his Bitcoin expertise. He's allianced himself with some traditional finance, like business
Like
leaders.
veterans.
Yeah. And then here we go. Let's just run it again, right?
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So we're looking at another tweet here. Is that ticker CCCM Procaps is trading at a discount. So these are terms that if you haven't jumped into the stock market at all, discounts and NAVs, net asset values, like these are things you're going to have to learn.
Yeah.
Because they're important to understand. But point here is that it's trading under its NAV. And the fair price is $16. At 2x, 3x is 24, 6x is 48. And you can get it right now at $10.
Very nice. Yeah.
So yeah, that's an opportunity.
Hence, yeah, exactly. Hence opportunity. Hence why people are starting to pay attention. You know, opening up their own, dusting off that Robinhood app, dusting off that TD Ameritrade
brokerage account.
Yeah, whatever, dude. Whatever it takes to get into the legacy world.
You gotta remember your email and password. It's like these are weird things.
Correct.
All right, the SEC. Yeah. So here's Anthony Pompliano's pitch and public disclosures. Right. So basically, company, we're raising $1 billion. Here's who I am. Here's my team. And what are we doing? Buying Bitcoin, and we're going to be doing more financial services with Bitcoin later on.
Yeah, this feels very similar to like that little wheel. This feels like a tokenomics breakdown, but it's not. It's like an equities distribution table, right?
Mm-hmm.
This feels like an ICO. It's an IPO, right? They're gunning for an eventual, go-to-market approach. And they're doing all the usual things that us in the crypto trenches are used to, right? You've got to like market yourself with the team. Here's all the veteran expertise, billions, if not trillions of dollars of asset management expertise in our history.
Yeah.
And then there's like a sensible roadmap of what we plan to do. We're not just going to buy Bitcoin. We're going to lever that Bitcoin and to create like the biggest Bitcoin services company ever. And then we're actually going to make revenue, like things like this, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Look at the team. This guy comes from BlackRock.
Yeah, there you go. So this is so do with this information what you will. To me, it's like, I see this, I see ICO mania. Like this brings me back to 2017 days where everybody was out there pitching their best pitch possible.
Yeah.
Flexing their technology backings. It's like, yeah, I used to work at Google for 20 years. I'm here in the crypto world.
Yeah.
Send me your ETH. Very similar concept, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And what's cool about this is that these are publicly traded companies, so everything is publicly disclosed, audited, financials, everything that you'd want. You'd want to know about your ANON. It's all out in public.
Yeah, I guess some people. Yeah, so this is definitely per individual investor appetite, I guess.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
All right, so another one. Strive closes $750 million investment deal to power alpha generating Bitcoin strategy. So who's that, dude?
That looks like somebody who ran for president recently.
That's Vivek.
Vivek, say his last name.
Ramaswamy.
Damn, pretty good. Good job, dude.
I
thought you were gonna butcher that. That's a tough one to say.
Yeah. Dude, he's a good talker too.
Yeah, he's great. I think he was like part of the Doge team initially and then got like Das Boot for some reason, so maybe he's not so great.
I think he left. He was like, I'm gonna go focus on Bitcoin because I know the government's gonna be buying this eventually, so I'm gonna front run them with my own institution that buys Bitcoin.
Maybe. I think he's also like running for governor or some.
I think he is, yeah.
Of some state. So he's a busy lad, right? So, but nonetheless, he's a co-founder to Strive, right?
Yeah. So close $750 million, and the capital will fund Strive's initial wave of Bitcoin buys.
Okay, so we got another Bitcoin Treasury Company in the mix, but this one's a little bit different according to their outline strategy.
Yeah, so let's continue moving on. So Strive and Asset. So asset entities to merge with Strive, asset management to form the first publicly traded asset management Bitcoin Treasury Company.
So I think the key word there is asset management, right?
Yes.
Like MicroStrategy is not an asset management company, right?
No,
They're not.
they're a treasury company.
They just literally just hold Bitcoin.
Yeah, they're a software business
Yeah.
who is now mostly a treasury company of Bitcoin.
Yeah, who are other asset managers in like the
BlackRock?
TradFi world? Yeah, like BlackRock, Goldman Sachs.
Yes.
You know, the big
JP Morgan.
the big bankers, yeah, the big wealth managers. Like
Yeah.
and so but that's a major equities category like we were talking about earlier, right? That's a whole part of the pie, and tremendous value is allocated there in the markets. But this is the first like asset management in the Bitcoin category, right? So if you're talking about monetary standards, like the legacy guys, they manage fiat.
Yeah.
Right? There hasn't been like a Bitcoin standard of asset management yet until these guys.
Yeah. This is absolutely the first company to do it, and they're going to be acquiring assets which fuel them to acquire more Bitcoin. So it's like it's asset-backed loans. You get the loan, you buy more Bitcoin, and with that accrual of more valuable assets, you buy more loans against it to acquire
Yeah, they have
more.
an interesting strategy. I think on the next page here they outline like the 3 prongs to it. I like this tax deferred approach.
Yeah, so Strive's 3-engine model for Bitcoin accumulation. Strive's approach is not dependent on a single strategy. It's a multi-layer framework engineered for Bitcoin scalability and capital efficiency. So Section 351, tax-deferred Bitcoin for equity swap. Strive is operationalizing Section 351 of the U.S. tax code, which allows accredited Bitcoin holders to contribute Bitcoin to the company in exchange for equity without triggering capital gains taxes.
Yeah, I feel like that's a big deal because there's a lot of Bitcoiners out there with a ton, like the OG Bitcoiners, but they never want to really like do anything with it because they don't want to trigger any like tax repercussions.
Yeah, long-term capital gains is around 10 or 15%. So that's a huge cut on your holdings. So number 2, cash at a discount acquisition strategy. Over $30 billion worth of U.S. public companies currently trade below net cash. So Strive is targeting these companies, acquiring them below intrinsic value, unlocking trapped fiat reserves, and converting them into Bitcoin.
So that's interesting too. I like this approach because this is kind of like the Michael Saylor pitch, right? It's like all you companies out there that are struggling, and there will be more of you in the future because of AI, right? Like big tech is only going to continue to concentrate its like effectiveness over, the smaller fish. And over time, you're essentially going to bleed out, right?
Yeah, you're not going to outcompete Tesla with its like AI division and robot division and car division.
Can't.
You're not going to outcompete them.
But the only way to potentially do that is to acquire Bitcoin, is what Michael Saylor is saying, because that is like the only asset on earth that like outperforms even like the traditional equities.
Yeah,
sector.
I mean it is fundamentally a unique asset on earth.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing like it. So
so that approach is interesting. You swallow up these struggling fish, you know, and to convert that to Bitcoin, and your just overall value just grows over time. But the logistics of that, I don't think are very clear. How long does it take to actually like acquire these companies? Because Bitcoin is, there's windows to this like working, right? Bitcoin has like 2-year periods where number go up, then usually 2-year periods where number go down. I don't think most of this stuff will work very well.
But we've seen the charts. If you watch our previous video, I think we showed a chart where the institutional buying of Bitcoin has changed its profile of how it goes up now.
Yeah, well, it's been like a year of data. We don't know yet.
Yeah, but you can make those predictions, right? Things are changing. Things are different now than they were.
For sure. Yeah.
All right, last strategy here, institutional leverage with risk control. So Strive brings institutional fixed income and derivatives expertise to the Bitcoin Treasury model. Options overlays to limit downside risk, prepaid forwards for synthetic Bitcoin exposure, and fixed income strategies to extract yield and recycle capital into Bitcoin.
Interesting. So this is where the whole asset management expertise comes in, meaning like they're leveraging like different toolings, I guess, to kind of mitigate the downside we're talking about. Like these things work very wonderfully.
Yeah.
when number go up, which Bitcoin is in the midst of a number go up stage. But whenever things inevitably are in a number go down because of, macro, just the overall market needs a correction, whatever, a lot of these things are going to undergo a lot of stress. A lot of these like treasury companies.
Yeah.
So they have like mechanisms already in mind to kind of mitigate that downside pressure.
Yeah. So the goal, increase Bitcoin exposure while maintaining downside protection and avoiding shareholder dilution. This is not leverage for the sake of leverage. It's engineered torque with institutional risk architecture behind it.
Sounds good to me, dude. Now let's take a look at, I think there's a little bit more. Yeah. Let's look at the price here.
Yeah. So asset, it skyrocketed 10x over the last month.
Yeah, I think that's when they made their like announcement, right?
Yeah. And then now it's down like 70, 80%.
So good opportunity, good correction. What is the market cap though? It's the most important thing.
The market cap is
65 million?
65 million.
That's not bad. Again, factoring in what market we're in, this
tiny.
is definitely like micro cap territory, right? So contingent on they actually succeed in pulling off their playbook here and they start acquiring these struggling minnows in the pond and converting that into Bitcoin, expanding its treasury holdings. And if they're like, basically, if all three of those prongs turn out to be successful, like I would imagine a much higher valuation down the road.
Yeah, it makes sense because these companies know the only reason why they're doing this because they know countries are going to be buying Bitcoin eventually.
Correct. Yeah.
So
and then, playing into there's also some other like institutional backers here, big names.
Yeah, Bill Ackman, Peter Thiel, back investment firm taking on woke capitalism.
So they're talking about Strive here, and so this is like the origins of how Strive began. Obviously, it didn't start 3 years ago as a Bitcoin treasury company. It started, I don't know, some sort of like anti-woke investment firm, which is kind of interesting. But nonetheless, these are some big names to be involved, right?
Yeah, Peter Thiel, you don't second guess this man's choices here.
Yeah.
All right, moving on because we're running out of time. It says breaking U.S. dollar. The USD has now lost more than 10% of its value this year.
Yeah, it's worse in 40 years.
So
what we're talking about, this is the perfect storm scenario for why this is working, right? Why this is quickly becoming palatable to a lot of struggling and non-struggling corporations on Earth, right? Like, I think at some point, the bigger companies, like you're saying, Apple, Microsoft, whatever, they're going to fold and they're going to realize that, you know what? Having this much cash on our balance sheet is a problem.
Yeah. Apple has about $100 billion in cash.
It's literally losing its value when it could be going up in value if it was in Bitcoin. And it's like, if this really picks up steam, it could really like snowball into something systemic and very, impactful.
Yeah.
And the end result of that is Bitcoin really does have its like super cycle moment.
Yeah, I feel like companies don't really have a choice here.
Yeah, well, at least the struggling ones, right?
Or even Apple, even the best performing ones. Like, well, you're gonna hold cash to go lose value 10% over a year? Come on.
I mean, they should be dumping it all into like AI, but yeah, we got to do something.
Imagine losing $10 billion just because you're holding $100 billion.
Yeah. What's happening.
Yeah. So, all right, finally here, Van Eck warns why Bitcoin treasury companies could face capital erosion. And so this is a pretty long article. There's about 6 sections here.
Yeah. But it's just important to keep,
this isn't only number go up technology, right? There's some risks here.
Yeah, some potentially major ones. He even makes some comparisons to the 2008 financial crisis where it's like similar mentalities where, there's a lot of lever to like the number go up speculation around some asset. Back in 2008, it was like the housing market. It's like everybody believed like this can only go up. So we over levered it as like a financial system.
Yeah.
Bitcoin is entering that territory of like, collective delusion. It's like this thing can only go up, right? And then if there's any event where it just starts to really go down and there's too much like entanglement and like financial over leveraging to that fact, you could create like a systemic collapse as a result of that. So it's important to keep in mind, but I think that's like a way down the road situation for now. Right? They're all having fun as Bitcoin goes up.
Yeah. And again, I mean, Bitcoin is a fundamentally new asset in the context of like the universe. And
true.
And fiat currency has been printing money since the dawn of fiat currency. So
yeah, it's like the perfect scenario where like this can actually resonate pretty hard because fiat is actually
Self-defeating.
like suffering significantly.
Yeah, by design. Like, that's what's crazy about this.
Yeah.
All right, that's it for us, guys. If you have any questions about how stocks work, don't ask us. Ask AI instead.
Yeah, we're learning.
Yeah.
We're going to learn with you guys
Yeah.
because I don't think this is going to stop. I think, yeah, we're going to see more of this. We're going to see other countries jumping into this trend and, you know, other, and like we're saying, major companies. So, and then there'll be spin-off products and stuff. So we'll see. We're going to keep our eyes on this horizon along with the crypto markets. But
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and on top of that, if you find anything interesting in the crypto markets that you think is interesting, we'd like to know about it. So put it in the comment section below. I appreciate you for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.
Peace.